Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Lakers Central. I'm Alex. That's Vinay. Vinay, man, how's it going?
It is going good. The end of our Christmas holiday, hoping that the Lakers cap it off with another dub. Uh, Looks like Carl Anthony Towns is not going to be playing, but we're not going to have Anthony Davis playing, which means I don't know if people can hear the drum roll. Kyle Kuzma has a chance to add to his wonderful resume this season. As oh, no, I didn't even know you had that. What? You have sound effects?
Yes,
Oh my
sir.
gosh! That means that I get yet another opportunity. Should he play well? Should Kyle Kuzma play well to share these beautiful Kyle Kuzma photo shoot memes on the Lakers Twitter timeline?
Man, you and those damn Kyle Kuzma photo shoot memes. Listen, so let's just start right there. First off, thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate every time you guys join us for these pre games, the post games, the podcast. We really do. But let's start with Kyle Kuzma. As you mentioned, Carl Anthony Towns, he's out tonight, Vinay. He's got a dislocated left wrist. I had no idea he had a
Yeah.
dislocated left wrist. Sounds pretty bad, but he's out. Anthony Davis is out. So we look at, who else is going to step up. So that was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about this evening. Who was going to step up? And you're starting off with Kyle Kuzma. So what do you expect out of him tonight?
So I think he's gonna. I'm assuming that because he's getting the start, maybe the Lakers are going to try and run some of that misdirection stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, the off-ball cutting and stuff like that we saw. I think in game 2
Yep.
of preseason, they'll
Yep.
have a couple of guys out there. So I'm kind of expecting to see what that is. Whenever Kuzma, I don't want to jinx it, but whenever Kuzma, starts, he usually responds because he responds well because he knows he's going to get a good amount of touches and stuff like that. So I actually thought Markieff Morris was going to be the guy who got the start because I thought, he just helps space the floor and stuff like that. So it must mean something to Vogel that, that he's willing to put Kuzma in that position to be the stretch 4 or whatever. I don't know who Minnesota currently plays at the 4 right now. So there must be something there that they're okay with at the 3-4 spot because him and LeBron will play those 2 spots. So we'll just see what it is, man. We no Anthony Davis, which means that LeBron will get some more shot opportunities. Hopefully the Lakers keep the spacing open for him so he gets some nice quality lanes like he did. We never know what the stats look like with Kuzma because it just depends on what his role is and how the Lakers are rolling or not. I just want to see him make good plays, no silly turnovers, and play really good defense. The what's it called? Minnesota has Malik Beasley who could score, D'Angelo Russell who could score, Anthony Edwards who looks like a monster, like an NBA player already. So they'll have wings and stuff like that Kuzma's gonna have to guard. So he's gonna need to be on top of his game for sure.
So he's going to get an opportunity, man, to, do his thing and show why he was worth that contract extension, right? I mean, last year when he started, I think he averaged north of 20 points a game when he was a starter last season. We know Kuzma can fill it up when he gets an opportunity. So the question is, what kind of plays are Frank Vogel going to run for him? How many minutes is he actually going to play tonight? But with Anthony Davis out, there's plenty of opportunity, and there isn't like there's some huge defensive stopper on the Timberwolves that Kuzma needs to be worried about. The thing with him is, even though he's going to have a lot of opportunity tonight, you got to hope that he doesn't get drawn into a lot of bad shots just because Anthony Davis isn't out there and he thinks that he can just hoist up 15, 20 shots. They need to come in the rhythm of the offense. So I'm hoping he gets to see a couple of those shots go down. I'm hoping he has a couple nice defensive possessions early because those things can kind of help spur him on the offensive end. So we'll see from that standpoint. I was actually thinking that Trez might have a big night. I mean, he's averaging north of 19 points already this season, 8.5 rebounds. Are you surprised that he's not getting the starting nod?
I'm not surprised that he's not. I think they like him at that backup center spot, and so they don't want to put him and Marc Gasol at the same time because Trez it is a little bit hard to kind of utilize him unless you're actually giving him the ball. So he's not like an off ball kind of guy and stuff like that, and we certainly don't want him standing around, just like kind of in the painted area and stuff like that, like unless he's running the screens for LeBron and stuff like that. So I like it because I think it allows the Lakers to always have a consistent scoring punch off the bench, and it just kind of it just gives us like some stability when it comes to that sort of situation. So I'm just going to be looking for like him to continue that high motor energy and stuff like that. And so this, I would say that for any Laker fans thinking this game's going to be a walkover, like this Wolves team is Anthony Towns is a pretty good team. So Lakers are going to have to play defense. They can't like just think that like Dallas they can leave certain guys wide open. Like Josh Richardson last game for some reason turned into like prime, not prime Kobe Bryant, but what I mean. Like he turned into like a top 10 shooting guard against the Lakers for some reason last game. So you can't let like a guy like D'Angelo start getting loose. You can't let Anthony Edwards or Malik Beasley, who's a real player. Like there's a reason they paid him $15 million. And they have other guys too, Juancho, Hernan Gomez, I think, Jake Layman. They have a bunch of guys that are like they'll compete, so they won't roll over and stuff like that. And then they have this guy, this G League guy, Naz Reid, that I actually like a lot. He's very mobile. He runs the floor really well. So like Lakers will have to be on top of their game. The Wolves are, I think, 2-0, right? They got a big win over the Jazz, and so we just got to be ready, man.
Is this one of those nights where you think LeBron is going to be more of a distributor, or he could go off for 30, 35 plus himself?
This game feels like a game where he's going to distribute early and then start trying to score if the offense is shaky. That's what it feels like. But to be fair, like that last Dallas game, he looked to score early and then he realized that okay, everybody starts rolling when I do that, so he could do that too as well. So we'll just see. We'll see what happens. But I think this will be a nice test to see how steady the Lakers defense can be without Anthony Davis, because that's something that we don't know what it looks like. It hasn't been that great. So these will be important reps for the Lakers to get.
So, in thinking about this game, I was looking at the matchups, and I really want to see the Schroeder D'Angelo Russell matchup. Now, for whatever reason, Russell's only started one of the two Timberwolves games, and I'm not even sure why. Like, I don't know if that was just.
So,
you know why?
So the first, yeah. So the first game, the only reason he didn't start is because his COVID test came in like really late, so he wasn't able to start the game. That's what it was. Or else he's their starter. They're not going to play him over anybody else.
I'm looking to see him and Schroeder's matchup, man. I mean, Russell's having a typical Russell season. He's averaging like 21 points. We know the kind of player he is. We got to see him up close and personal when he was in LA. But Schroeder has been really good these first couple games. I think he's better defensively than many Lakers fans thought that he would be. But what are you looking to see out of that matchup tonight?
I think it'll be very interesting to see. D'Angelo is allergic to the rim. He has always been his entire career. He doesn't like going to the rim. He likes to do like these short hop floaters and stuff like that. So I don't know. I really don't know like if his shot profile has changed all that much. But I will say that he loves to do the pull up three right off of a screen or in transition. So making sure that Schroeder tags him or somebody's always watching them in transition and stuff like that will be really important. So that sort of like aspect of it is something that the Lakers have to definitely be aware of. I'm actually curious to see how the THT and Caruso lineup actually works out too, because they run Rubio off the bench, I think.
Yep.
I think they do. But they have like a carousel of guards. So I would be very curious to see if Vogel has to, we've seen 2 games now where they roll out the THT Caruso lineup. That lineup's going to have that pet tandem is going to have to be good, like against their bench. So I think that's going to be really, really important, to see how that sort of works out.
I mean, I think it'll be okay. I mean, look, it depends. I think if D'Angelo is cooking, like he can get hot. So I think that could cause some issues. What I'm looking to see is when THT gets some minutes, I don't want him to do too much. Like he gets out there and he has these moments where he looks really good and he gets to the basket. He's got this crazy layup package. But there's just a lot of pressure on him, I think, from fans to be more than what he is right now. Like he's got a bright future, but I just think that like fans are dumping so much on him to be great. And with Alex Caruso, I almost feel like with the emergence of THT, like some of the spotlight has went away from Alex Caruso. Like he's not Lakers fans still love him, but he's not like front and center as like this Lakers guy that he was last season.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And that we talked about it before. A lot of people were saying that, all right, Taylor Horton Tucker is going to be the guy that takes all of Kuzma's minutes if he plays poorly. But me and you have also said many times already, and I think some Laker fans are also aware of it. Like their skill sets don't overlap with each other enough for that to happen. And obviously, their size as players also doesn't. It's really going to be like Caruso, who probably has the most spotlight. And I know, like last year with everything that happened and stuff like that, like there was a lot of spotlight on Kuzma, but now he's got his extension. Caruso's the one who's going to be playing for an extension. So how does he respond to that pressure and all that sort of stuff? So I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll work. I think they'll find a way to make it work. I'm just curious to see. 2 games in a row we've had. 2 years in a row we've had. What's it called? Did I say 2 years or did I say 2 games?
2 years.
Oh, okay, sorry. 2 games in a row. Sorry, my mind is. I'm. If you guys are wondering when my eyes are off in the other distance, I've been watching this Charlotte Nets game from the very beginning because I wanted to watch LaMelo and see how he plays in the Nets.
I was watching
like
it too.
It's going down to, yeah, it's going down to the wire. That's why it's been close. But what I meant to say is the last 2 games, Caruso has been the guy who has been the one who probes the offense, or sorry, probes the defense, and I'm waiting to see if Vogel will flip that responsibility or not. So that's really what I'm waiting to see, and I'm very, very curious to see if that responsibility ever flips. Because I don't know how long you can last, like with Caruso turning the ball over and stuff like that. We want to try and get quality minutes out of that bench unit. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out.
So I was also thinking now that we know that Cat is going to be out tonight. I thought that that's probably a good thing for Marc Gasol because just after 2 games, there's already fans saying Marc Gasol should be on the bench. We need a big man out there. And I went and looked at some of the big men that are available just to be up on it myself. And like, you and I have kind of talked about this, but there's not really anybody available. I think Ian Mahiney is available. Like Czech Diallo is available. Like there's literally nobody available right now for the Lakers to even bring in that's super athletic. John Henson I think is available. But I think it's a good thing that Cat isn't out there because if Cat's out there and he would have went for a Cat game of 25 and 15 or something like that, which no one's going to stop Cat from doing that anyway. But I just think that would have drawn some Lakers fans out there to call for Mark as washed, or the Lakers should have like I saw that clip today of JaVale going coast to coast in Cleveland, getting the rebound, and like Lakers fans are like, or some Lakers fans like, look, you should have kept JaVale, and I'm like, but I don't even think he did that with the Lakers last year. Like that's it's just one play, so I think that bodes well for Mark. But what do you expect to see out of Mark tonight?
I'm hoping that we get to see him do some more passing. Like he was involved in the pick and roll with Schroeder and stuff like that. So I thought that was cool. And clearly there's some synergy there. I just want to see him get more involved in the offense outside of just like standing at the top of the five. The only problem is that, I mean, it's not a problem, but it's just like the option of not running the. Let me reframe what this is. The first option is LeBron getting a lane to the rim. So as long as LeBron is taking layups at the rim, like it's really hard to be upset that like Mark isn't being more involved in the offense, right? Like the offense looked really good at the start of the game and stuff like that last game. So I don't know if the Timberwolves slow the game down enough to force a half court offense, but if the Lakers get into those sort of situations, I would like to see Mark get involved as like that high post passer and stuff like that, because he does. It's just something about like the timing and the way he delivers the ball to his teammates. Agreed. That it feels like the shot quality is just much better compared to like somebody else making a pass to him. So that's the way that I kind of like look at his like presence. But that Naz Reid guy, I don't know if he's the one who's starting, but he's like a big, so it's not, but he's a little bit more mobile than Mark is. So I'm going to be very curious to see how the Lakers respond to like all that sort of mobility and the youth and stuff like that. Hopefully they don't get like blitz too early, like from the perimeter or something. Yeah. So it'll be curious to see how they go. No, it should be a good game. I think it'll be an up and down game. It'll be entertaining, but I think whoever locks down on the defensive end, and I think of the offense versus the defense is the side where the Lakers got to really, really work on it. Like as a team unit. I think Pete, Laker Film Room, he posted a lot of clips of like the Lakers during their timeouts, like talking to each other, and it seems like they're talking about their defense and offense. Like, so it's clear that they're very much working through like their entire like working through like all these small tendencies and stuff
Sure.
like that people have to like that teams have to typically go through. So that's the way I kind of look at it. And I think this team is going to get better and better every game. Whatever those small wrinkles are that aren't working, they'll iron that wrinkle out and they'll get better and better.
So I'm gonna wait and let a few more comments come in, but I want to pause, man. And do you feel like entertaining some Clipper slander for a few minutes?
Sure. I mean, that was literally so okay, let me tell you the story. So I went out. My daughter wanted to go for a bike ride, right? And so she rides a bike, and I go for a walk. My wife goes for a walk with me, right? And so, all right, let's go, right? And so usually that's like we walk outdoors, just like maybe like a mile and back, right, in our community. So so like we were walking, and this is usually the time where I'm like off my phone and stuff like that, and I'm not paying attention to anything. And then every now and then I'll sort of chime in and just check and see what's going on, like with the NBA and stuff like that. So I'm like about 15 minutes into my walk. Mind you, our walk takes about 45 minutes. I'm about 15 minutes into my walk, and I pull up my phone, and I didn't even know that there was a game starting. I didn't know that they were playing at noon. I thought all the games were like late afternoon, evening games. And I'm like scrolling through my timeline, and then like I just see screenshots of a score. I'm like, what is this? Right. And so I look at it, and I was just like, is this score real? Like I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like somebody photoshopping something. And I was just like, bro, how are you guys down by like 30 points? It's not even the half. How are you down by this much at the half? And like I knew that Kawhi wasn't playing, but I was just like, you're playing Dallas. Like they're like obviously they're a very good offensive team, but they're not that good of a defensive team where you guys are only putting up what did they put up like 13 points in the opening quarter or something like that?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was I don't know what to say. I will say this. There are some very passionate Clipper fans on the timeline who I respect. Okay. But there are some, I would say, opportunistic Clipper fans on the timeline as well. And they keep doing this thing where, and I think like Lakers fans kind of learned this over time because we went through like 6 years of being terrible. Like they keep doing this thing where they're building up Paul George, and you keep building him up, and you keep building him up, and you keep building him up. And I'll say it as simply as this: people have already written off that Kyle Kuzma at the age of 25 can't get any better. Okay.
Yep.
He just can't. How are you going to tell me that is expected of a 25-year-old and that he can't get better, but you're going to turn around and tell me a 31, 32-year-old Paul George can like reinvent himself in I don't know what year he's in right now. He's like year 9, year 10 of what he is. And so like that's my thing, right? Like obviously you get blown out by 50, that means nobody on your team showed up. It's not just one guy. But my thing is like, can we stop it? Can we stop doing this? Can we stop pretending like this is like a reinvented wheel? Like, did they make adjustments? For sure. Is Ty Lue probably a better adjustments coach than Doc is? For sure. Does he keep guys more accountable? For sure. But it's just like the guy that you're talking about, that you're hinging all of your what's it called on to be your leader, has been the same guy the whole time. You know what I mean? Like we don't like even we're watching LeBron in year 2 or year 3 of his contract with us, right? If we don't even include his first year because of injury, we're watching him in year 2 of him being healthy. Like Laker fans don't have any illusions of him becoming like magically becoming a 40% 3-point shooter, like into the twilight of his career, right? Like just make your open shots. We expect LeBron to get to the rim, to finish at the rim. If he's missing, then we think that there's something wrong with him. Like that's like the kind of thing that like that's the kind of thing that like kind of cracks me up. Like there's this constant reinvention. And look, at first people were complaining that Laker fans are just always trying to jump on Twitter and they're trying to bully Clippers Twitter and stuff like that or whatever. And I get that, but now it's like NBA, like everybody is waiting for you guys to lose because you guys keep putting up like this air of like arrogance. And it's ironic that a Laker fan is saying that, but like we won a championship, so we get to do it. You know what I mean? So like, I don't. And then his post game, Paul George's post game comments, like I take responsibility for this. I look, the Christmas thing I didn't care about, but him saying, "I take responsibility for this loss. It's on me." I was like, "Who else was it going to be on? Like who? Are we going to blame anybody else except you? Like you're the leader of this team, and Kawhi's not playing, so obviously it is your fault that like your team didn't like you didn't get your guys like
Right.
ready to go and stuff like that." So, but it's just one game. I'm not going to extrapolate too much, but I know when NBA Twitter definitely enjoys it when they lose, man. So that's how it works.
I didn't think the scores were either. Like I didn't even realize they were playing. Like they just like you like I didn't even think about it. But when I saw the score, I was like, wait, they lost by 50? Like that? Like so. I like all right. Let me take a deep breath before I decide to join in on the slander on Twitter. And I'm like, wait, so
Yeah.
they lost by 50, and all right, Kawhi is out. I get that, but one, Porzingis is out. Two, it isn't like Luca went for like a 50-point triple double or something like that. Like
Yeah,
Luca
not at
had
all.
a pretty pedestrian game for Luca. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's that. And I looked at the Clippers box score. Paul George was like 4 for 16, 0 for 6 from three, and I'm like, man, you guys blew this one. Like
Yeah.
we just blew them out on Christmas Day, and for them to turn
Yeah.
around and blow you out worse, like that was crazy to me. And then there were some Clippers fans posting stuff about how the Clippers used to blow us out, when we weren't good. Well,
Oh,
yeah,
I saw that. I was
yeah,
just like,
like
do you know that? You know what that lineup was? That
right, like our
like,
team was
to compare
terrible.
it.
I mean, like, look,
We
man,
were we were trying to tank. Like we were literally playing our worst players at the end of games when we had leads that year. So it's just like, I mean, again, like some of those, I don't know if those guys are like real Clipper fans or if they're just
right.
trolls in disguise that co-op, that just want to troll Braun and Laker fans or whatever. But it's, I don't know. All I can say, I don't think Clipper fans ever watch us, but I
No,
know you do have Brian. Brian, you got a Clippers guy
yep,
on the
Brian Cohen.
crossover network. It's just like stop. I'm doing like my New Year's resolution. My Twitter New Year's resolution is to not discourage people preemptively and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Fans of other teams would be like, "Oh no, your team sucks. They'll never have a chance." I'm just gonna watch the game and enjoy it. But all I have to say is just like you can always be hopeful that a player can be better, but we have to also like be a little realistic. Like Paul George is Paul George. Like somebody posted a
Right.
stat like saying that since 2012, whatever he's averaged in the regular season is exactly what he's averaged in the playoffs. So like all these random scoring outbursts where he scores 33 on opening
Mm-hmm.
night and they shoot 72% the next game, like it
Right.
always averages out in the end. And it's just I think for them specifically, they're like learning about like Clippers fans are learning about what that experience is like and stuff like that. But it's a long season. Um, if this was a Lakers game blown out by 50, I'd be like, look, man, we got to throw this game away. This was super atrocious. And I think that's what a lot of the sensible Clipper fans are doing. But, I think you and I have discussed it a little bit. Like, they need a point guard, man. They need somebody who can, like, understand the temperature of that team and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that when they're being serious, not being serious, that sort of thing. And, I mean, having four or Chauncey Billups and Tyronn Lue, who are former point guards themselves, having those guys on the bench doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get the direction that you need out of your team. It's got to be somebody on the floor. So it is what it is. It happens. You get blown out at times, but it sucks. I think they set a record for worst franchise loss in their history, and then I
Yep.
think they set an NBA record for largest deficit at the half or something like
Yep.
that, if I'm
They
not
were down
mistaken.
51
So
to half or something like that. I mean, hey man, it, look, I'll end the Clipper slander part of our show on this part. Like I just saw some Clippers fans saying, "Well, we beat you guys on opening night," and I simply tweeted, "You guys said the same thing last year." And if all you're
yeah,
gonna do this season is focus on the Lakers, you'll have the same result as you did last year because there are other good
yeah,
teams out there that you're gonna have to face before you
yes.
ultimately face us in the playoffs. So
Yeah, and I
I.
mean, look, the Nets just lost, right? And
Mhm.
so they almost made a comeback. The Nets just lost because Charlotte couldn't make up. They were doing some boneheaded stuff. They have young guys, but Charlotte, I was watching that entire game. They were doing the same exact thing that the Celtics were doing. Like they would switch everything so you couldn't get any specific matchup. They
Mhm.
were forcing isolations. The Nets were taking a shit ton of threes. They were taking a ton of threes and they were breaking everything. Um, and it looked very much like a D'Antoni offense. Take as many threes as you possibly can, unless there's a wide open layup or a wide open dunk. Look for the
Mhm.
corner three, And that's all fine and dandy, but we know what the saying is: you live by the three, you die by the three.
Yep.
And we've seen that happen too many times in Houston. And obviously, Kevin Durant is a significantly better player than 99% of the league and stuff like that. So, but still, that's what happens. And the reason I'm watching them is because obviously I want to see Kevin Durant play, and then also like I want to see LaMelo play. So because I live in Chino and he's from Chino Hills and stuff like that, so I'm rooting for his success. But that was a highly entertaining game, very entertaining game, and we'll see what happens with all these other teams. But the NBA at the start of the season, man, has been really really interesting. A lot of teams, even if like the Wizards, even though they're like 0-2 right now, I don't know if they're going to win tonight, but they may win tonight. Like they're fighting. Like these teams are like going down to the wire. None of these teams are like just like rolling over and stuff like that. So that's really interesting to see.
Oh, I wonder how the media is going to react tomorrow to this Nets loss because the Nets have looked pretty good to start the season, and a lot of people are already picking them to potentially meet us in the finals. Shout out to my
Yep.
young brother-in-law who was a Clippers fan. Well, he's originally a Wizards fan. He was a Clippers fan last year, and now he's a Nets fan. He's picking them to win the finals. So I'll have to text him later on tonight to see how he's feeling. But
So is he like a is he? I mean, so you can either say he's a bandwagon kind of guy, or like he just has a different favorite team. I don't want to call him bandwagon. They just have a favorite team every year, or is he like a like they have heroes and then they have anti-heroes. They're not villains, but they're just somebody other than the hero that you want to vote for. So is he like an anti? He likes to pick the anti-hero, so because the Nets will beat the Lakers, he doesn't want to pick the Lakers, so he'll pick the Nets, that sort of thing.
so I think he doesn't want to see the team that I like win. I think there's
Uh,
that. Like he didn't used to be that way, but he's gotten that way now. But I think he's also kind of like tired. He's tired of LeBron, so like now it's like, well, Kawhi's better, Kevin Durant's better, and I'm like, yeah, but LeBron was still been in 10 of the last 11 finals, even if you throw off the year that he got hurt. So yeah, I don't and I think his excuse for Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant's from Prince George's County area here in Maryland. That's where my
okay.
brother-in-law's from. That's his excuse. But I'm like, no, that's not an excuse. Like you were rooting for Kawhi last year, and he's not from anywhere over here. So I don't want to hear that
Yeah.
nonsense. But
Well, I
yeah,
mean, today has been a very strange day. Okay, so the Mavs blew out the Clippers by 50. The Mavs are a good team, so that's the
they
blowout
are.
is the significant part, but them winning is not a surprise. Okay, uh, let's see here. Okay, Wizards lost. The Hornets beat the Nets, and Hornets look really good. The Cavs are beating the 76ers, who don't have Embiid, but they're beating them, and you don't think that would happen. So that doesn't look good for Doc Rivers' early season resume. The Knicks are beating the Bucks by 25 points right now,
Really?
with 10 minutes. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm actually kind of worried, bro. I'm not gonna look. The Pacers are beating the Celtics in the third quarter. It's only a 9-point game, but they're in the third quarter. The Bulls are beating the Warriors, and the Bulls have been getting blasted the last two games. Like they've been down like 20 points by like the third quarter. So I'm actually a little worried that something's going to happen. So I hope the Lakers don't get blown out or they don't end up losing this game for over some nonsense, because today has been really weird. So anybody who was betting favorites tonight, if you're a gambler, I don't know what the favorites were for these games, but a lot of the better teams all lost their games today. So I'm hoping the Lakers don't lose to the Wolves. But we'll see, man.
Well, that's what we're getting. I'm gonna bring up a couple of the comments. Thank you guys for throwing these in. Michelle Medina asked, "Can we count on the Lakers to get a win on her birthday?" I hope so,
I,
Michelle.
I hope so. Like I mean, I feel confident that they'll win, but at the same time, man, there's some weird juju going on in the NBA space, because some of these teams have no business winning. Like some of these games, or at least you would think that, or
Right.
maybe this is just a trend that we're starting to see where these teams, they know it's early in the season, they've been waiting. A
Mm-hmm.
team like the Cavs, a team like the Knicks, the Bulls, they sat out for a really long period of time. They've been sitting out since March to play basketball. So
Yep.
they've got young legs and they're ready to go. And so that's what's happening. But it'll be a very, very interesting game. The Lakers seem like they're very serious. And I think they'll be a little serious because they have Anthony Davis out. Like, I don't think they'll take that lightly. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope they win, Michelle, because Lakers Twitter was making fun of the Clippers quite a bit, and
Oh
so it
yeah.
would be nice for us to not have a loss on the record books and go 1-2.
I agree. And happy birthday to you, Michelle. Thanks for tuning in with us this evening. We appreciate it. Um, so this one's from Jeffrey Santos, man. Hey, what's up, Jeff? So can we count on the Lakers to win by 40? I don't know about 40. That
I don't think
that's
so.
asking a lot.
Look, once you get to 20, when a team is down 20, my rule is now this is like a personal pride thing. Like, are
Right.
you willing to get beat like this? And so I don't think I think it's very very rare to see like a 25 30 point loss unless it's like at the end some team was running up the score. But a 40-point win would mean like the Wolves like gave up like at
Yeah.
some point of this game and the Lakers just couldn't miss. I don't think the Wolves are that sort of team. And they have shooters, man. They'll shoot threes. So unless they have like a really poor shooting, 3-point shooting night, I think they'll be all right. I don't know do you know what the line is or anything like that? Do you follow any of the betting lines and stuff
No,
like
I
that for these
I
games?
don't, and I haven't seen anything.
Let
I
me
have it
see.
on my phone, but I haven't looked at it.
I'll pull it up real quick.
And Jeff, we were during earlier in the pregame, we were talking about Kuz. He's someone that we think he's starting tonight. He's someone that we think can have a big game. He can certainly go for 20 tonight. The shots are going to be there. The minutes are going to be there as well for him. So he might be someone that really steps up tonight and helps power the Lakers to hopefully a win. So keep your eye on him.
Yes. Yeah, so it looks like the Lakers are 9-point favorites, so they're
Mm.
favored to win for this game. And then it also looks like the point total I'm not a betting guy, so some of this stuff is foreign to me, but it's 229 points, which just means you're basically saying it's going to be an over 100-point scoring game, a lot of
Right.
high scoring and stuff like that. So I think that's just kind of what it'll end up being. Probably a lot of transition basketball. Transition basketball is good for the Lakers. They
Mm-hmm.
love to play transition basketball. That lets LeBron get loose. He's drawing fouls and all that sort of stuff. So that's the way I would see it. Hopefully, it's an exciting up and down game. But hopefully, the Lakers do lock in on the defensive end. Last thing we want is D'Angelo just getting loose and just shooting threes all over us, and then we have to play uphill.
No, I agree. So this one is from obsessed Lakers fan. Um, who do we think? What do we think the Lakers' game plan will be tonight?
I think they're going to be with no cat. I think they're going to be hyper focused on the Timberwolves wings. I think Frank Vogel earlier said that Anthony Edwards is like
Mm-hmm.
he was very complimentary of him. He said he's the whole package and stuff like that. He's an NBA player. So I think they're hyper aware of how good D'Angelo can be, how good Anthony Edwards can be. So I think they're going to be very focused on making sure that they kind of limit those guys and make the other guys
Mm-hmm.
have to do stuff to have to score. Without Carl Anthony Towns, I don't know what sort of production they get out of the big position, the 4, the 5 spot, out of that spot. So this may be a game where the Lakers play a lot of small ball. Like you may see a lot of Montrez minutes. You may not see too many Gasol minutes, but you may see a lot of Markieff at center minutes, stuff like that. Um, I would say that like team rebounding and rotational defense and all that sort of stuff will be really important. Um, I don't think D'Angelo likes to go isolation too much. They do a lot of pick and roll stuff, so
Mm-hmm.
that defense against that will be important too as well. And I think the Lakers' game plan will be what it's always been: be locked in on the defensive end and try to create turnovers and get out in transition as much as possible. So that'll be kind of what we'll see. That's what I expect us to try and do.
And with Carl Anthony Towns out, I'd like to see the Lakers remain locked in. Like, don't think this is just going to be a gimme game because their best player is out. How do you think
Yeah.
Vogel handles LeBron's minutes? I know he's monitoring his minutes. I think last game LeBron played somewhere around 28 or 30 minutes. You think his
Yeah.
minutes stay low, or do you think he plays a few more minutes with AD being out?
Yeah, so I think it'll be entirely dependent on what happens with that bench. So the bench was pretty good last
Mm-hmm.
game for us, and if the bench is preserving or extending a lead, LeBron's minutes will stay low. Last year he didn't really play more than 34 minutes. I don't think they want to play him more than that, and I think Vogel has said openly that they're like even on back to backs, you're not going to be holding out LeBron or anything like that. Like they expect him to play. Lakers will have a one. Let's see, the Lakers are playing. Oh, they do have back to back, so they're playing tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
So
yeah.
I think he's going to manage his minutes accordingly to figure that out. Because we're playing the Blazers. The Blazers are coming to LA to play us.
Mm-hmm.
They've got bodies that are going to try and rough up LeBron. I'm sure Anthony Davis will probably play that game, and he's getting his rest this game, that sort of thing. So it's if the bench does its job like we expect it to do, I think LeBron's minutes will stay at about 30. So that I think that's kind of what'll happen. But I don't think they'll overextend them because it is back to back.
No, I agree. And Melo's actually not playing tomorrow in the Blazers game. He didn't. I think health and safety protocols. He didn't make the travel or whatever for tomorrow, so he won't be in there. But I would imagine with the back to back, Vogel's not going to have LeBron out there playing 40 minutes tonight. The Lakers have a deep roster. This is why guys like Schroeder and Trez and Kuz, that you expect them to step up in games like this without Anthony Davis. So,
Mm-hmm.
guys, we're gonna get ready and close out of this one. I'm gonna close out with this last comment by Jeff. Yeah, the Lakers are. I think they're gonna wear those classic blues tonight. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, the ones that have the Los Angeles in the front, right?
that's right. So that'll be
Yeah,
great. That'll be
yeah.
great to see. All I feel like is the Lakers keep taking my money. That's how I feel. Every time they roll out a classic jersey or some new merch, they just take my money. So
Well, I mean, I just bought my daughter a LeBron jersey. It's supposed to come in tomorrow, I think. I was hoping it come in before Christmas, but it didn't from the NBA side. So, look, man, I'm a deal searcher. So if I end up finding some quality jerseys or like official, authentic jerseys for cheap
mhm.
or something like that, I'm not a jersey guy, but I like buying shirts and stuff like that. So I bought myself a couple of championship shirts and stuff like that. But hey, hey man, I thank God that LeBron and Anthony Davis didn't switch their numbers, or
Yeah,
else they
I
would.
thought they were going to.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, if you bought the jersey early, you get to keep that jersey. You don't have to worry about it losing value or gaining value, I guess, because that would have been like a once in a lifetime sort of thing, huh?
Right. Yeah. I really thought they were going to flip them this year. I mean, maybe Nike. I don't know. I have no idea why they didn't, but I thought they were
Yeah.
going to. So, but guys, as always, thanks for tuning into the pregame. We may or may not be here for the postgame. We'll certainly let you guys know depending on how the night goes for us. Probably more so for me since I'm on the East Coast, as all you guys probably know by now. So we'll check out the game. Vinay, anything you want to say to close out the show?
Nope. I hope the Lakers win. Thank you, everybody who posted questions or tunes in via YouTube or Periscope or however you jump in on these live streams. We really enjoy them. We really enjoy answering questions and just talking Lakers basketball before the game. So we hope that you enjoyed. And if for anybody that wasn't on the previous pregame or postgame from the other game, hope you guys all had a wonderful Christmas and you guys have a happy holidays. And we'll see you soon.
Oh, and one more thing, Vinay, you are going to be covering the wider NBA, right? I saw you tweet that
Yes.
today or yesterday. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, so the newsletter that I have, so most people have probably heard about those, seen me do like the positive affirmation
Mhm.
things for the Lakers and stuff like that. So what I learned and found out is that people lift my content. That's the nice way of saying what it is. They lift my content and share it with their folks, and it's cool. It gets a lot of retweets and likes. But I thought maybe it'd be nice to look at the entire league that way. And one of the things I wanted to do was ex- the Lakers audience is a big audience, but
Mhm.
we're also fans that really love Lakers basketball, but basketball in general. Like our love for Kobe Bryant was about like the artistry of the game and the purity of the game and that sort of stuff. So what I thought that maybe I would do is in my newsletter have like this weekly thing where I just kind of talk about like the guys that kind of stand out. Like I watch a whole bunch of basketball, an unhealthy amount, as my wife would like to say. And so what I wanted to do was kind of bring some of that stuff, right? So like yesterday I was watching the Blazers game. So I'm
Mhm.
talking about like Christian Wood while everybody's talking about Harden. And he had like a 30 in his debut. He had like a 31
30.
point,
Yep.
13 rebound, a monster game. And me and you were talking about if the Lakers could get him at the
Mhm.
non-taxpayer MLE, this guy would be wonderful. But obviously he went for more. So I just wanted to kind of help do that because I feel like on NBA Twitter and then when you have all these fanalists and stuff like that, like there's too much discouragement. There's so much negativity and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm like a fan of that team per se, but I'm definitely a fan of like something cool that they did. Like maybe the Lakers can do it. And so I'm just trying to change the way that that fans look at it because I'm the one thing I hate is um, I don't like it when people are watching games to see somebody fail. Like I get the slander
Yeah.
and the jokes and stuff like that. That comes from a team and a what's it called place. But I don't. I think too many people are watching the game because they want to see somebody fail, and they're ignoring everything else that goes on with that game. And for
Mhm.
us, it's clear because once LeBron came to the Lakers, everybody wants to see LeBron fail. Like
Yep.
everybody wants to get LeBron out of this league as soon as possible. And I realized like that's how people watch the game. And so for me, it's just like, how do I share that with everybody? So what I'm going to do is in my newsletter, instead of focusing on just Lakers specific stuff, there'll still be a lot of Laker heavy content. Um, I'm going to try and expand some of that stuff and talk about like guys like Christian Wood who played really well. I watched the Phoenix Suns Mavs game and I saw how Chris Paul watched Devin Booker brick 2 shots, miss one free throw to give him 1 point lead, and then immediately the next play, Chris Paul called his own number, hit a jumper, and gave them breathing room to win their opening game of the season. So like small stuff like that that makes a big
Mm-hmm.
difference, which I think Laker fans will appreciate because we'll play those teams and we'll be like, "Yo, Chris Paul will take this shot. He's not just going to give it to Devin Booker." And so
Yep.
I think that that'll make hopefully add better content and stuff like that. So you can find it in my bio. You can subscribe to it, or you can just read it whenever I post it and stuff like that. And it's all free. And I'm just kind of hoping that like people enjoy it. It's very much like Zach Lowe's 5 things I like or 10 things I
Mm-hmm.
like and 10 things I don't like. Except I'm not doing that I don't like part. Like that's for your own fan base to figure out.
Right.
Because I'm not going to give any intel like about what I think that is bad about another team. I'm going to say that for Laker fans, so we know how to deal with your team when the time comes. So I appreciate you asking me that question. But yeah, it should be out. I'm trying to aim to get them out like every Monday. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like some positive reading every Monday. But it takes time. I got to go and find specific plays, pull them out, do a quick blurb. And it's very bite sized. It's like maybe a paragraph and some
Mm-hmm.
data and some film behind it. I think people enjoy it, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so too. That's why I wanted to make sure I brought that up before we closed out. So, guys,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not already, make sure you follow Vinay. Check out his newsletter. It's easy that you can subscribe to it. So make sure you do that. And you're right. Like before LeBron was a Laker, everybody was hoping that he won, hoping that he became better than
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, become a
Yeah.
Laker. Not so much, and it reminds me of a line from The Dark Knight when I think they said if you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain,
Right.
and
Right.
LeBron is like a villain now all of a sudden. So
If you had to write a story, I read this book, um, Hero of a Thousand Faces. Or I forgot what the name of. I read the excerpts of it. But LeBron right now is in his legend arc. That's what I call it.
mm,
Like he did his hero arc when he was with the Cavs and he brought them to the finals after never being there. And then
yep.
he went to this villain arc where he went to Miami and everybody hated him. And then and then he came back to his hero arc and he won a championship for the Cavs and everybody loved him. Now he's with the Lakers. He's established. He's got no pressure, and now this is his legend arc. And what better way to like the way that they won a championship last year, the unique circumstances, and what happened to the
Mm-hmm.
franchise, obviously with Kobe Bryant's death. This is like a legend. Like we're watching LeBron like do something that we may never see. Like a guy go from one of the worst franchises in the history of the NBA to one of the greatest franchises and deliver a championship and possibly more. So it's a for us. We watch a lot of Lakers basketball in our time. We've seen all
Mm-hmm.
20 years of Kobe Bryant's life. This is tremendous. Like I don't think I can understate how much it means for a guy of his caliber to come to the Lakers and do what he's doing here.
That's why it's important for people to appreciate LeBron and appreciate these players because it is not easy for them to accomplish some of the things that they do. So we'll close out the pregame on that. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your questions and comments, and we might be back for the post game this evening. So we'll check out you guys then. You've been watching Laker Central.